Councilman Frank got
They're on.
Hello? Okay. We're calling to order. Will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So before the public comment, I just want to make sure that we talk civilly and everyone engages with each other, in a way that's productive. So just keep that in mind. I know emotions sometimes can run hot. Everyone up here really does care about what you guys are wanting to give us input-wise. So just know that, okay? All righty then. City Manager, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, a few slides, if we can pull up the slides. So welcome both Planning Commission and City Council for this workshop. Great audience tonight. We are here to listen to your thoughts, concerns, questions, comments about the proposed Murphy Ranch project located on the corner of 120 and Brennan. This is prior to the deliberative meeting. So each of these bodies, the Planning Commission and the City Council, in a couple months or several months, will have this item before them for their consideration. It is not before them right now. We have an application that staff is reviewing, and it will go forward. So the point of tonight is to provide the public an opportunity to share their opinion with the bodies who will ultimately decide on the project. So with that said, we'll just go through a couple of slides here. It's kind of as ground rules. So I'll try to avoid my back to anyone. Again, we just mentioned, but the purpose of this meeting is to collect input from people.
Is this available online?
Not yet. No. So, yes, this is on YouTube. So it's about an hour meeting. We do have a city council meeting at 7. So after my talk, the mayor will ask how many people want to speak, and we'll divide the time equally. So get into the process. Local jurisdictions are provided land use authority through the U.S. Constitution, kind of these police powers, because planning has far-reaching impacts on general health, welfare, and safety of a community. So the power rests with the local jurisdictions. So a lot of words on this slide, but what this says is state law kind of dictates the process. We all know we're an elected form of government here. We do have a governing body who is elected by the residents to represent the residents. They are the decision makers. In the planning process, you also have a planning commission, which is appointed by the council to advise on matters pertaining to land use. But ultimately, it's the city council. Staff's job is to intake, review applications based on the approved planning documents that the city, the electeds, have adopted. It's not staff's role necessarily to judge or, arbitrate on an item. You want your elected bodies to do that. And so as they come through the process, staff reviews them to make sure they're consistent with the underlying documents, and then they get brought forward to the decision makers. In this case, this project is consistent with the city's general plan. The general plan is the city's long-term vision for what the community should look like. If you're familiar with the project, you will see there's a shade of yellow there at 120 in Brennan. The yellow means low-density residential. So in 2005, when the city council adopted the general plan, this is what was envisioned for this property, this type of project, a low-density, single-family home subdivision. In February of 2020, the City Council adopted Resolution 04-20, And in essence, that directed staff to process 2 annexation applications if they move forward. One being the Carr property, which is now the Murphy Ranch project, and the other is the Sarin Lutheran Church. All other annexation applications must wait until the sewer moratorium issue is resolved. But 4 years ago, council did say these 2 should move forward and staff should process those. Just a little on kind of state law. So Permit Streamlining Act 1977 basically gives staff timelines for the amount of time they have to process applications. And really what this is getting at is to not unduly burden or slow down development applications. Because really, staff's process is to review it for consistency, completeness, appropriateness, all that, and then it should get into the decision maker's court to make those decisions. A little bit about development rights. So U.S. property law through the Constitution, 5th Amendment, really does allow property owners to improve, adjust, develop their property if it's consistent with the documents that the city has adopted. Further constitutional law, talks about takings, right? A city staff can't sit on an application for an unfair amount of time because it could be considered a taking. And so, again, most of this is to say there's a process. Staff reviews, and then the electeds and the appointeds review and decide. And this is really just more on that. It's really staff's job to process the application. So didn't want to take up too much time to allow residents the opportunity to provide comments, but I did want to at least provide some background on kind of the planning approval process. So as the mayor mentioned, it's not really the intent tonight to answer a lot of questions. That will be done through the bodies who will hear the projects and staff. So we are taking notes today. Every comment that is provided, we will take notes, and we will incorporate that into staff reports and other information to the Planning Commission and City Council as they get into their deliberative process. With that, I will pause and we can ask for speakers.
One other thing I wanted to mention before we started is, we'll definitely take everyone's input, and at some point we will, bring all those questions that you have into an answer so that you do get your answers, met. Okay, so that being said, how many people want to speak tonight? Let me see. I see 8. Is there 10? Okay, 10. Sorry, my vision's not that good. So we'll go 10. Is it 10? So about 5 minutes each. And we'll let you finish up what you have to say, but try to kind of be consciously aware of that 5 minutes for your fellow neighbor. All righty, let's start it.
I'm starting my 5 minutes yet. I have a handout for the deliberative body.
Okay.
You can pass that around to all the appointed and elected. Or could you hand these out to the planning commission? Good turnout. Thank you all for showing up. What you heard and why we're here tonight is in response to several of us showing up at council meetings and requesting that the city respond to the questions that were asked at a town hall meeting in November. All the questions that were asked have not been answered at this point by city council. And so this is our opportunity to ask both these bodies to respond to our concerns. The perception up to this point has been, because there is no response from council, that the planning of this project is baked in. It's going to go forward as is, and without your comment and answers to it, it's going to be a fait accompli. So let's start off with the proposed ingress-egress from this project into Bellaterra community from Salivo and Riesling Streets. They directly impact the Bellaterra LLMD, Landscape Lighting Maintenance District, which all of us Bellaterra people pay $535 a year for our community and the luxury of calling ourselves Bellaterra. We have proposed that the new development, instead of coming through Salivo, provide a throughput on Riesling that goes from California over the railroad tracks and out. That will eliminate, or not eliminate, it will reduce the traffic impact on Brennan and 120, California Street, and the impact on the Bellaterra Lighting and Landscape Maintenance District. We don't want this project to move forward through LAFCO. We'd like that to be stopped until, or at least stalled, until Caltrans has designed, implemented, completed traffic safety mitigation measures on 120. Even Councilman Engel had put forth a survey that people paid to put their feelings forth on that 120. We never heard any follow-up from Councilman Engel on that. Hopefully he passed that on to Caltrans. I don't know what kind of response he got, he never said. To the planning commissioners, if you will look at the form that was handed out to you, special benefits for Bellaterra. And I'm going to read them to you. This is why we pay our $535 a year for this. Special benefits means particular distinct benefits over and above the general benefits conferred on the property located within the district, greater than the public at large. And underneath that were 7 bullet points for over 20 years. These bullet points said what a landscape lighting maintenance district special benefits are. Over the last several years, the city, without any legal jurisdiction, foundation, have removed 3 of the 7 benefits. And those are improved ingress-egress to property resulting in enhanced traffic flow, reduced traffic accidents, congestion reduction, and possible property damage. That's been removed. Improved traffic visibility and circulation. That's been removed. Enhanced environmental quality provided by adequate green space and other landscaping, which helps moderate temperatures, reduce pollution, and control dust and debris. Again, removed. Essentially, we've been reduced to no benefits in our landscape lighting district by this administration and the previous one, and I've asked for, all they've ever referred to is some vague court cases, but have never said what the law is that allows them to retroactively reduce the benefits to any district. So that, if you will look at page 2 of that handout, you will see where it stands right now, and that there's only 4 instead of 7. So you can read those, and you can use that when you deliberate and see what direction we're going. Bellaterra Landscape Lighting Maintenance District will be directly impacted by this, this proposed application. It will increase traffic congestion, safety problems. Shadowwood Park, which will be directly impacted by Murphy Ranch project, is they plan on using the park paid for by the Bellaterra property owners as part of the storm basin for the Murphy Ranch project. None of that project is going to be included in our landscape lighting district and pay the fees that we do. The city has not put forth a plan to include them in the Bellaterra plan. And that, I think, is a deal breaker right there. They're using our streets, they're using our parks, they're using the benefit of our assessment district, and they're not being charged to be part of that. So, due to the Murphy Ranch direct impact on Bellaterra LMD, the developer should be made to agree to include this development into the Bellaterra LLMD and pay ad valorem for each parcel as it would share the same benefits that we do. There's a lot more to it. Other people have something to say and speak. I just want to let everybody know that if you don't speak up, they're going to throw this at us as is. There's not going to be any changes, and these are the people that need to hear your voices. Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt. Who's next? And just remember to state your name if you can.
Hi, my name is Natalie Gallegos. I live on California Street. I'd first like to thank you all for giving us this opportunity again to meet and hear our concerns. I appreciate that, I really do. I'll cut this a little short so everybody has time. I think the major concern of all of us in the whole town is the intersection at 120 and Brennan first, okay? The traffic study and the Florsheim application was done between April 18th, 2023 and June 1st of 2023 and conducted Tuesdays through Thursdays. As we all know, these days are definitely the least busy days on the highway, not to mention the least busy time of year. Even doing the study during this time, ultimately, the intersection rates at an F during peak hours of the morning and evening. Specifically, on page 10 and 11 of Florsheim's own traffic report, the intersection not only rates at an F currently, that under cumulative years, conditions and operations at the intersection degrade significantly. During peak hours, delay at the intersection without and with the project would be so high that their system, Synchro, is incapable of accurately reporting the delay. They also go on to say in the body of their report that Caltrans was currently doing an ICE study of that intersection in 2023. But according to public record, Caltrans was not doing any kind of study that we could find. So it was unclear where they got that information. That was one of our questions that we'd asked Florsheim, and they said they didn't know, they'd get back to us. And so here we are. I happen to I've lived on California Street for 22 years. I live in eyeshot and earshot of that intersection. I couldn't tell you how many times I've called 911. Witnessed accidents, know of my neighbors who've been in accidents. My own house guests have been in accidents there. So I'm firsthand visual of that problem. The second major issue of concern with this project is the flow of traffic through the adjacent neighborhood. The proposed layout of the streets has all vehicles entering and exiting this proposed development via California Street. This will increase the volume of traffic on California Street to 700 to 1,000 cars per day, according to Florsheim's study done almost 2 years ago. This is a major issue with the residents on California Street, both in the Farinelli subdivision and Edgewood. California Street, as well as Brennan, already experiences detour traffic flow when the highway's congested. So when we get stopped traffic because of the train or because of an accident, our streets, Brennan, California, turns into a freeway. The city of Oakdale is in the process of annexing 300 acres off of Highway 120 and South Stearns Road. They are projecting to put into that area over 900 housing units, mixed with apartments and single-family homes. This means more traffic through Escalon on Highway 120. The city of Riverbank is currently building hundreds of new homes, which also means more traffic through Escalon, especially when the traffic on Highway 99 is congested. Escalon is a detour route for those people. Highway 120 through Escalon is also the way most travelers from the Bay Area and neighboring valley towns access Yosemite and Sonora area. The homeowners in the adjacent neighborhoods were told some 23 years ago that this parcel, Murphy Ranch, was future zoned residential and would be a gated, single-story, over 55 development. I personally spoke to Mr. Rio Carr in July of 2004. Rio Carr was in charge of the Rex Carr estate, and he confirmed the future plans and also said that the people he was likely going to sell to, because he was in process of selling at the time I spoke to him, were going to make it nice per his brother Rex's wishes, which was actually single-story ranch-style gated community. He went on to say there would be strict CC&Rs on the property, which I have now found out were never formally filed. The Carrs were pillars of this community at one time. Mrs. Carr devoted her life to teaching the children of Escalon as a teacher and principal of Van Allen School for some 30-plus years. Rex Carr was a world-famous dog trainer. His name and techniques are still legendary in the hunting world, and I've heard stories from longtime residents that he used to bring famous people such as Bing Crosby to Escalon to train their dogs. The Brennan and 120 intersection is essentially the entrance to our town, the welcome mat to Escalon. With the development of Liberty Park happening on the north side, and now this additional proposed development on the south, it seems the city would want to plan this very carefully with a welcoming and safe vision for the people entering our town. Fixing the intersection is priority. And a senior over 55 single-story, single-family housing development as originally projected to the community all of these years would be ideal. There are many people in our own community who would like to downsize, but would like to maintain home ownership of a smaller house with less yard and not live in an apartment, yet there's no place to go. A deed-restricted 55 and older subdivision would solve 3 issues that are currently required by the state of California. It technically could be affordable housing, as most seniors are on fixed incomes. It would also solve the senior housing requirement. And the final benefit would be that it would reduce traffic flow considerably.
Hey, Natalie, not to interrupt
Okay.
you, but you're getting
All right.
past the line already, so
Okay,
we'll let you
thank you.
finish up, though.
I say let's get Caltrans to make the intersection highway safe before. Then before any annexation, let's plan for housing development to benefit the needs of Escalon and make it aesthetically pleasing for those passing through our town. Thank you.
Thank you. Who would like to go next?
Good afternoon. Will Smith. Have you guys taken into consideration the new business that just got built right there on Brennan? You're going to have employees, I don't know, what, 100 employees or something? Was that taken into consideration on the traffic study?
City manager?
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is if you guys are listening, it's going to be up to you guys to decide on this, but I would say it's a no vote until the traffic situation is resolved. There's going to be people getting killed. I mean, that traffic is nuts the way it is now. Without a turning lane at Brennan Lane, both ways, a traffic light or something. I mean, you guys live in this town. I mean, you don't have to hear it from us. You know, by putting all those houses, I'm not against the growth, but you got to make it safe. And the way it's going in now, without a plan for that traffic, it's common sense that we need to put it on hold until you get that resolved. And that's my honest opinion. And you guys control the vote, so, but I'm listening, and it's all facts. Thank you. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Will. Who would like to go next?
I'm Marty Van Houten, live at 480 First Street. I'm part of the Bellaterra Estates subdivision. And a couple things I think that also need to be important that to be looked at is you got so many homes. How many kids is that? Bellaterra and that part of town is all part of Van Allen School District, or not school district, but Escalon School District, Van Allen Grammar School. So all those kids in that area and our area all go, in grammar school, all go Brennan and 120 out to Van Allen School. That's a lot of people, that's a lot of cars. And you got to consider the safety of all those kids. And this plan doesn't really address anything at Brennan and 120. Something needs to be done. And I don't know exactly what Liberty Ranch proposed for mitigating the intersection, but whatever monies or whatever that they're putting in for it, and it seems like that this Murphy plan should also put a consideration in for that, developing that intersection, and also literally the landscape and lighting district of the existing Bellaterra has been pretty well ripped off over the years. City could go back and use some of that money that they've supposedly were used for upkeep of the Bellaterra, put some of that money in for the development of Brennan and 120. So I think there's funds available if you just start looking around and cobble some things together. The city can put some money up into it too. So that's my biggest concern. And I don't know what the Liberty Ranch is putting towards that, but you got to figure that Weldway, the trucks, those are big trucks bringing in lots of steel and everything, trying to make either right-hand or left-hand turns on just a two-way road. And I don't know what Caltrans has planned, but it seems like we should be working with Caltrans to get at least a signal light in there. Thank you.
Thank you, Marty. Who would like to go next?
Good evening, folks. Kurt Russell, live on Alberto Lane, part of the Bellaterra. Piggyback on what Kurt Danziger was saying, as you know, the last city council meeting, we were discussing the proposed budget and amortization schedule for Bellaterra. Apparently, the Bellaterra people were on the wrong side of the vote. City council voted 3-2 to get part of the language that was in that proposal as well. And now Kurt's saying that what he's saying is part of that other new language about the promises made and the impact on it seems like it's fallen by deaf ears. Some of the stuff that you're hearing tonight is probably just real obvious about the traffic study, because we've been talking about that prior to even hearing about the Murphy Ranch, the safety issues with Brennan and 120. And of course, since then, again, stating the obvious, the factory's going in. Now we're talking about 70 some more houses and what have you. It should be apparent. But the fact, I'm here, we can't stand in the way of progress to get that. But at least all of our concerns should be met. And in particular, Bellaterra as well, because it significantly affects us as well. And as I stated at the last meeting, the residents, the tax that we're paying in Bellaterra only benefits the city. I mean, think about what they're spending on the maintenance for the landscape, lighting, and what have you. It's only beneficial to the city. So please do not discount the folks in Bellaterra and the next subdivision over with all the traffic coming in and out as well. So you're going to hear from other people that have ideas, but again, a lot of it's just stating the obvious. It's just common sense. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Kurt. Who's next? Okay.
Hi, my name's Glenn Shaw. I live, well, my backyard is against the pasture right there, so I'm gonna have cars coming on both of those outlets coming through there. They're not gonna have an opening from Brennan into that subdivision?
City manager,
They're not gonna
you want to
have
answer?
opening in, an entrance from Brennan Road?
It's not proposed at this time. The way the Farinelli Ranch subdivision was designed is to have two outlets going north into that property.
How about the opening up California Street back onto McHenry to where people could go in or out of there instead of just one way?
Those things could be considered during the Planning Commission and City Council meeting.
And now that they put in the rector across the street, every now and then, man, you hear them banging on metal, and it's like Hogan, you know, the wind goes this way, so it goes right to us. Are they gonna put any wall up, like they did down further? You know, they put a sound barrier wall where the other subdivision was, just on the other side of the park. I mean, they're not gonna put any kind of sound barrier or anything.
No, because along 120, that's commercial, and so you want that open. And there's no need for commercial, in between commercial and industrial, to have a wall, so. So as part of the Murphy Ranch project, there is a sound wall to guard the homes from the railroad track.
And
Yeah. On the south side of the railroad track, north
Okay,
of.
and I do want to say that on Thanksgiving, we have our Thanksgiving dinner at our house, so we got 35 people there because all my whole family lives in Escalon. My father-in-law almost got killed there. He got T-boned when he was trying to go back to Valley Springs. And luckily, the guy was only doing about 45 when he hit his brakes and hit Charlie dead center. And he was in the hospital for a week and a half. So if that was a Friday night and you're trying to get across there, you know, do your studies when it's appropriate. You know, try and get across there on a weekend or a Friday night, because it's a joke. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. Who's next up? 3, 4.
Hello, I am Kaylee Siegel. I live at 448 California Street. Just have a couple of quick points that I wanted to bring forward. The first being that I do own a 2-story home, and slated in the original plan, it was showing that 2-story homes were going to be put behind existing 2-story homes. Is that still the plan?
Ultimately, that'll be up to the developer. They can apply for something that's called a plan development that allows variations from the code, but that will be decided on by the Planning Commission, City Council. I think there's been some receptiveness to changing that plan.
Okay. When we reached out to the builder, my neighbor reached out to the builder after the last meeting, they said that the plans had really changed since the last meeting. Do we have an update on that? Is that posted to the website, the new, they haven't given that to you? Okay.
Well, it has not been posted
Okay. Is there a way we can get that, or we can see that?
prior to the Planning Commission.
Okay. My last point is, as discussed by everybody else, I turn out left onto Van Allen twice a day. Van Allen did lose a staff member in December of 2023 in an accident there. She was ultimately killed. She was in an accident there and died a few days later. It was very tragic for the school, but it's something that we need to remember is those kids are going out to that school multiple times a day. And a lot of people don't realize that you can't see turning the cars coming if you're stopped behind the crossing guards there. You have to pull out past the crossing arms. I've had a neighbor have the crossing arms come down on their vehicle. They had to pull out and hit another vehicle there. If you are stopped on the railroad tracks, the arms will come down on you. Something needs to be done there, whatever it is. I am not opposed to the growth. When I bought that home, I knew it was going to happen. I just want it to be done the right way. I do think that the homes, I looked at the floor plans, they look like they're going to be beautiful homes, and I'm excited for the growth of nice homes here. I would like a single story behind my house. I have a pool. I have kids in the backyard. I don't want a huge 2-story right in my window looking right into my yard. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaylee. Who would like to go next? Should be one.
Good evening, Council, Planning Commission, Dave Bellinger. Just a couple points. It's very evident you guys have some finer details to work out with the developer on this project, but I just wanted to keep everybody on the radar that we do need to continue with some slow growth in this town. Lack of any growth at all puts us on the radar with the state, whether it be low income, anything like that, apartments, anything. We do need to continue with some growth in this town, so we can't just say no to all growth. So make sure that you consider that. We need some new homes that for both reasons. One, we've got some folks wanting to downsize, and then other people that are looking to leave smaller homes in this town that have bought small homes as starter homes. They've grown their families. Now they want to upgrade, and there's really no available houses out there in Escalon. A little bit of growth allows for those folks to move from those 12 to 1,500 square foot homes into a bigger home, thereby opening up some of the smaller, older homes in this town for those people that want to either be in a starter home, or if they want to downsize from their bigger homes in town and have a smaller home available. So I think that growth can help cover some of those needs in our town. And then lastly, with your sewer and water rates potentially coming up with those new projects, a few more homes going to spread the love a little bit more when they do those rate studies as opposed to after. So if we get a little bit of growth now before those come to you guys, a few more people to share the load on that would make everybody's rates a little bit cheaper. Even though we're all going to see an increase, it wouldn't be as much. So a few other points to consider. Thanks.
Thank you, Dave.
My name's Betty Bennett, and I live on California, and I talked to Dave on Flourishing Homes, and I asked him that if they would consider, if they were going to put 2 stories in, that on
Can't hear back there.
Sorry. My name's Betty Bennett, and I live on California Street, and I talked to Dave, who works for Flourishing. That was at our meeting. And I asked him if their new plan, if they would at least consider on our fence line putting single stories, and I don't care what they did in the middle, but I thought that would be a good mix. That way we would have single stories facing our yards, and they could do mixed in the middle. And he said they would consider that. So I'd like guys to hold them to that. Maybe I'll record them.
Can you mention the specific street you're talking about?
I live on California, so it would be
California Street.
California, and I think Walnut's the one that goes down the L shape. So he said those houses, they would consider putting single-story, and in the middle section doing mixed. So that would be good.
Thank you, Betty.
Good evening, Sarah Myers. I just wanted to kind of reiterate what Dave had to say up here. I want to speak in favor of this project. I do believe in slow growth, sustainable growth for the city of Escalon. There's a lot of families that need homes here. There are a lot of families that their only option to buy would be new construction. We've got a lot of real estate experience and construction experience on our council. And there are some benefits with new construction, not being under PG&E. I like this project. I think that it looks great. I think the homes look great. I hope that the neighbors get what they want, because Bellaterra has also been a great addition to this community. So has Countrywood. We've done a lot of great developments, and I think that this continues on that path. I agree. Something needs to be done about that intersection, for sure. Something needs to happen there. I know you guys are being proactive in working with Caltrans to find something, and I hope that that is something that can appease those neighbors and make things a little bit safer, especially for the kids. I did want to speak to school capacity. This is something that came up in the last meeting. School capacity, I spoke with the assistant superintendent here in Escalon. Escalon City Schools is not overcrowded. We definitely have room for these kids. Escalon Unified School District could also benefit from some of the taxes from these homes. So I think it's a great option for the community housing-wise. I think it's a great option for the community to grow small sustainably.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. We have another person out there. I think one more, right? Or two? Three.
Ed Swanson. I live on California Street, and I just kind of want to.
Hold on one sec. We'll call to order. Okay. Go for it.
I'm good.
Yep.
Okay. Ed Swanson. I live on California Street, and I just want to piggyback on what other people have already said about the Brennan. We need a turn lane in Brennan, because I'm not opposed to new homes going in, but if Walnut and Irwin can have turn lanes. Why cannot Brennan have a turn lane? You know, I know you guys need to speak to the state or whatever for that, but I just kind of want to piggyback on that, and I've lived here since 2002, and I think there's been about 12 to 13 people killed on that intersection, and I don't know how many accidents, but we really do need a turn lane, at least a stoplight, whatever, on the intersection of Brennan and 120. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Okay.
I think we had two ladies in the back, right?
My name is Helen Camper. I'm at 403 California Street. This is the first time I've been here and actually come to the podium, but anyway.
Well, thank you.
I just want to kind of repeat pretty much what everybody, because I'm in a total agreement. First of all, let's get this light put in. I mean, I think we got a former city council member that's, I mean, he's rerouting airplanes. And we can't put a stop sign over here on the highway. That's kind of, I mean, somebody needs to do something about that. You've got 75 proposed homes coming into that new development. And doing the math, you're going to say each household is going to have 2 cars per home, plus motorhomes, plus motorcycles, children on bikes. Everybody's coming out on California. You know, before my house was being built, I rented the main house at Cars Ranch. I was there for 6 months. And they have at the main entrance a huge double gate. I'm thinking, if you don't want to cross the railroad tracks, open up a road there leading, you know, let the traffic go out on Brennan rather than divert everybody onto California. There's room there. I don't oppose the housing development at all. Just allow these people to have their own exit out. Why drag all these people on California? I'm telling you, I'm always working out in the front of my house, and people are just racing through there. I'm right on the corner, and just making a corner turn for some of these people. I think I deliberately put 2 huge redwoods in front of my house because I think one of these days they're going to attempt to come through my bedroom. It's scary sometimes. I've been out there working in my yard and literally telling people to slow down. But anyway, thank you. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Helen. Thanks for showing up. I believe there was one more, or is there just one? You ready to come on up?
My name is Larry Bunch. I've lived on 624 California off and on for 80 years. And I have a big RV. I have to back it in, and the traffic now is so horrendous. When I attempt to do it, I always run into blocking a bunch of cars. The traffic is nothing. It's out of control on California. So we can't tell where that, somebody should have pointed out, you know, with his pointer, what's going on up here. But anyway, that's just my concern with California. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Was there anyone else that, oh, there we go.
Good evening. My name is Gabriela Vargas. I'm a homeowner of 1010 First Street here in Escalon. I am neither for or against this project. It really has no impact on me personally. But I do see that many people speaking are emotionally invested due to their proximity of this project. And I just want to provide some fact-based information. Regardless of the decision that you make, someone is going to complain. So doing the right thing for our city to be sustained with small growth. We have not seen a project like this in over 10 years, and it's necessary primarily for our budget, which is one of my major concerns. Murphy Ranch, to my knowledge, will have an LLD. I would presume that that will assist with the costs associated with anything that borders Bellaterra. So the notion that everything is going to fall on the residents of Bellaterra, I think is not accurate. I could be wrong. It was also stated that Bellaterra had 10 specific benefits and they lost 3 of them. So how do you now only have 0 benefits? There should be 7 that you still maintain. Again, I could be incorrect, but that's what I understood. In terms of the 120 and Brennan intersection, I agree. It is a dangerous intersection. However, I also know if you look at the facts, most all, if not all, of these accidents could have been prevented. They are people who have no patience. They go around other cars. They think they could make it across in time. They're running late. They have been drinking, or the list goes on. As far as I am aware, the last traffic study that was done was in 2013, and it was done by the city. Since then, we have not had a traffic study of that intersection done. The Floresheim home, I don't know what to call you people, sorry. Floresheim has done a traffic study on the 120 and Brennan, but it is not isolated to that intersection. It is a cumulative traffic study that includes California Street, Brennan, that intersection of 120 and Brennan, and I believe possibly First. I have to double check. But I would request or suggest that we first get an updated traffic study isolating that intersection alone, not a cumulative one. The notion that traffic is going to be deterred through to California Street, to me, is not correct. We recently had a death at the intersection. Where the train crosses, and that halted all traffic coming into town. The detour was through First Street, which is where I reside. Big rigs cannot go down California Street and make it back onto the 120 at any point and safely. They were all rerouted to First Street. The only concern I have is what is the impact to the residents, or excuse me, to the city with traffic if people choose to come down First Street. We currently have minimal stop signs from McHenry down to Brennan. We have minimal crosswalks, and there's going to be long-term costs associated with needing to replace signs, potholes in the street, whatever it may be. And so I encourage you to consider that there will be some costs associated in the future, not perhaps upfront. There was a comment that Carr confirmed the sale would be to someone that they were doing single-story ranch-style houses. That is hearsay. There's no documentation to prove this. In addition, Murphy Ranch bought the property, and that was not part of the deal. So even if the Carr family did specifically state 20 years ago to specific family members that this is what their intention was, it's not what they did in the end, and therefore it has no bearing on this project coming in. In terms of Van Allen, my children go there. In comparison to Dent, this is a very low populated school. I agree that the intersection getting in and out of Van Allen is incredibly dangerous. However, it's doable. I do it every day. The students of the notion that this entire Murphy Ranch project is going to have all children that are in elementary school is ludicrous. We are likely going to have empty nesters. We're going to have elderly. We're going to have children that are in different school, middle school, high school, elementary school. In addition, we have buses, which I have found my children ride and my daughter rides in the morning and sometimes afternoon. They are very safe, more safe than you would anticipate for a school bus.
Ms. Vargas, we're getting close, so I just want to let you know.
I'm almost done.
Okay, no problem.
My last statement would be to possibly consider that we open Riesling as another way of getting onto 120 and make it as such that it is close to the Walnut or hopefully the Irwin exit onto 120. That specific exit that goes onto 120, I can safely get into the middle lane going towards Manteca, only worrying about traffic coming in from Manteca, and I can either pull to a complete stop or drive slow or put the pedal to the metal and get across through the traffic that's going towards Manteca. And it would be an ideal solution and not include having to put a traffic light at 120 and Brennan.
Okay, well, thank you. Ms. Vargas, Gabriella, next up.
Ed Alves. The only thing I'm concerned about is the intersection. Development's going to happen, I think, whether we want it or not. But the intersection seems to be everybody's concern, major concern. I mean, they have other concerns. What I don't understand is why it's even a consideration. It should be a no-brainer. We have history there with people being killed. We know that intersection is bad already, and we're going to compound it with probably 100 employees across the street in the new Weldway, and you're going to have all these other houses dropping in there. To me, that should be your priority. If you don't put a light in, this thing shouldn't go any further. That's all I got to say. Good luck.
Thank you, Ed.
We got one more.
Ooh, sorry.
Hi. My name is Vance Nelson. I live on Donner. And I think there needs to be a light, period. Like I say, the increased housing, the increased business going across the street. And I don't know if anybody's been down there lately and going through. Now it has become a thoroughfare going down Brennan up through Ugly to bypass all this. You could, just the other day I was going out there and a big old semi had to be doing 45, 50 miles an hour going right through that area. It's just unreal. There needs to be lights there before this goes any further. And I don't know why you're limiting that housing into those two streets. Why isn't it coming off Brennan into there? I know it'll chop out some houses, but you know, that's the way life is. Not everything is dollars and cents. making those homes in there. And the developer, I'm sorry, does not have the best track record on quality of homes. And unless you have better building inspectors than when my house was built, there's just problems. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Vance. Anyone else that would like to speak before we bring it back? All righty, going once, going twice. All right, sold. All right. Anyone want to make a general short statement at all before we wrap up the meeting?
I have a question.
Yep.
So this is to Florsheim and to city staff. This is now the second meeting that we have had. First community meeting was last fall, and now we've heard more concerns from the residents. What is the best avenue that we can follow back up with the residents to provide these answers to some of these questions? Because in looking at this plan, some of the concerns that were brought up at the original community meeting last fall, there's still no answers. And so I think it's really important for both bodies to be able to provide that feedback to the community, because they took the time to attend the community meeting in the fall, and now they've taken the time to come here tonight. And I think it's important that we can provide them with some sort of information.
City Manager, you have anything you'd like to add to that?
So we've written down all these questions. In large part, they're similar to the questions we've received before. We will bring answers to these questions as we get to, either right before or as we get to the Planning Commission.
So with that, how do you think you're going to do that? In other words, in the packet prior, or are we talking putting it on the website?
We can consider options like that, but at a minimum in the packet for the Planning Commission's consideration.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll take a break here. Thank you, everyone, for being so good today.